All right, and we are recording, and we are here once again with Chancellor Brewington. I got some good feedback on the last video. You wanted to hear him some more. You know, good football, great football mind, has a lot of insight. So happy to have him here with us again. Appreciate him taking the time to come back. How's everything going with you, Chancellor?
It's going good. I appreciate you having me back on, man. I got to go to the Colorado game, but we'll get into that and stuff like that. But I'm doing good. The channel's doing good. Everything's doing good.
You want to give any updates on the channel? How that's
Yeah,
going?
yeah, yeah. So we actually just dropped our last video about 4 or 5 hours ago.
Colorado
So y'all
breakdown.
go check that out. It's gonna be a lot of what we talk about today. But it was really just my insights on the Colorado, Nebraska. I think the channel is right now we're at 1,200 subscribers. So our goal is to hit 2,000 by the end of the week. That's our goal. It's a hefty goal, but I think we can do it. So y'all tune into the channel. We are going to the Nebraska Northern Illinois game. It's going to be the first night game of the season, and we're going to be interacting with some fans at the tailgates during the game. Go on the field, give y'all a different perspective. So yeah, I'm excited. It's my first Nebraska game as a fan, so it's gonna be awesome.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, you can. I mean, 2K is very much in the realm of possibility very soon, considering how quick your channel's grown. When did you start it up?
Our our first video was I think 10 days ago.
Yeah, and I think by the time I even had went on there and subscribed, y'all were at like 200, and now you said you're at what 1.2K. So
Yeah.
growing quick. So I mean, that's testament to the quality of the content. People are enjoying it. So y'all get over there. I'm gonna put the links in the description of this video, so you'll be able to find everything that you need to there to be able to support Chancellor. And then just go into me a little bit for those that don't know. My name is Justin Adams. I am the host of Cheesy Corn Sports on YouTube. It's a fantasy football channel where we go live 2 hours before the games every Sunday. And here at the Voice of College Football in Nebraska, I host the post games immediately following every game on Saturday. And then you can find me on X. I guess that's what we're calling it now, at the
Mhm.
underscore H Town Husker. So all right. Without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Let's see what we got here. All right. So first things first, a little bit of your time in Colorado. If you want to kind of give us some insight into how your trip was overall, and then just the atmosphere and everything.
Yeah, I thought it was a great trip. It was like I was telling Justin earlier before we started recording. It was my first trip as a college football fan instead of playing on the field. It's my first time sitting there in the stands and seeing it from a different perspective. But overall, I thought I was expecting a harsher environment, but the Colorado fans were awesome on the way out. Even the frat boys and everyone was saying, "Get home safe. Appreciate you for coming." It was not like what I've been hearing. The some violent side or even rude side. It was awesome. I didn't get one type of negative comment. It was awesome to interact with the Nebraska fans. I went to a tailgate before the game and got to talk to some people who were supporting the channel. I think a few people even saw this interview or this the voice of college football. So it was cool. And some people were scared to say what's up, and they DM me after. So if you see me at the Nebraska football game this weekend, say what's up. Maybe we can get you on the YouTube. But yeah, it was a cool experience for sure.
That's awesome, man. It's in small world, man. The fact that people just that just shows the outreach that socials and YouTube have nowadays, where people already know who you are, just seeing you out and about, not only from the team, but seeing you more recently with that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, it's a good thing that Colorado seems to, well, at least for this year, the game was a good experience overall. I've heard some good, more so than in the past. So I mean, who knows? Hopefully, that little part of it's changing. But we're past the Colorado stuff. But just you kind of broke down the game and all of that. So what kind of was your overarching thoughts of the game overall, and just some takeaways you have that maybe other that you haven't seen from other people?
Yeah, so obviously people is harsh on the offense, and we'll get into that. We'll get into why people are harsh on the offense, and why people want to say, Jeff shouldn't be a quarterback, or there should be a quarterback change. And um, I'll get into my thoughts. But starting off, I think the defense played amazing. I think they played good. It was interesting, man. I got to see Shador Sanders for the second time, and I'm no football guru, you know what I'm saying, by no means, but um, I feel like I played against a decent amount of quarterbacks, and I've realized that good quarterbacks keep their composure, and good quarterbacks uh, don't keep the ball in their hand for long. And that's one thing Shador did. He went through his progressions, and his pocket presence was amazing. So the amount of pressure we put on him shows what type of defense we was, and it was awesome to see the way the first half unfolded from a football point of view. Because if you look at it, uh, we ended the half 13-0, right? So
Mhm.
Colorado had 13, we had 0. Every point that Colorado scored was off of a turnover. So if you flip that, let's say Nebraska does not turn the ball over and they actually capitalize and get some points. I'm not saying Colorado would have then scored 0, but if the defense would have held up the same way, the score actually wouldn't have evened out. It would have flipped. It would have been maybe 10-0, 13-0, and we're looking at a completely different ball game. And then Colorado is now behind in the game going into the second half, which they've never really been until then. So taking away from that, one thing I said in my last video, not this past one, but the one before that, preview of the Colorado Nebraska game, I said the defense got to do 5 things. I said they got to line up versus tempo. They got to put pressure on Shador Sanders. They got to cover Dylan Edwards out of the backfield in the passing game. They have to tackle, and then we have to win our one-on-one matchups on the outside. And for the most part, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that, and I said stop the run as well, and we did that as well. So it was one thing of yeah, they did run out of gas in the second half, but why is that though? You got to look at it as a football player. It's hard for you to maintain a certain level when the other side of the ball isn't doing nothing at all. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So, and that's nothing. That's no shame on the players on the offense, but just looking at the tape, as a player, you got to do better. And I'm speaking to the offense as a whole, not never singling out a single person.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I thought of.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I follow a same mindset with that. The way I put it, kind of yesterday on our live was, you know, it was the tale of two halves, and Nebraska's opportunity to capitalize on opportunities was the first half when Colorado wasn't playing well, and turnovers handed them their points, and so Nebraska's already playing out of a hole, and you had that entire half to where you needed to take advantage of that opportunity. Then comes out the second half. Colorado takes advantage of their opportunities as our defense kind of wears down. To your point, the defense played solid as long as they could, but when the offense isn't on the field for long periods of time, that defense doesn't get time to rest, and it's
Exactly.
constantly just run, especially with the way Colorado plays with their speed. It's a lot of running, it's a lot of trying to track these guys down and just play after play. It takes a toll on a defense, especially at a fast pace. So the defense was excellent. It was just one of those where they bend it as long as they could until they eventually break. But that's going to happen to any defense. I don't care how good you are. If your offense doesn't put you in good situations, that's just how it's going to be. Um, and then, playing from behind actually, I feel like got us a little bit out of our game plan where I thought, we averaged over 5 yards a carry, I think 5.5. And playing from behind, our game plan changes from the battle of attrition, pound the rock, trying to wear them down, to now we have to, you know, formulate a passing offense and try to get this ball moving. And we're down multiple scores. So we don't have time. We don't have the luxury to sit there and, run them down, control the game and control the pace of the game and the clock and try to just, wear their defensive line down. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the issues came in what we were talking about last week. with the offense is just got taken out of our game plan. And with Sims, I mean, I don't know your take on this, but Trey Palmer was such a huge part of this offense, and right now with the inexperienced wide receiver room, for Sims, I don't feel like right now he has established trust with anybody enough to have a true one wide receiver. I think it should be Marcus Washington, and then Billy Kemp should be that slot guy, that go-to slot guy. Um, but I think that's something like that is gonna help him in getting those guys in quick passing situations, but also, like, with Sims, I don't think this is anything that Sims is doing that that is his ability. I think right now he just is thinking a lot more so than reacting, and I think if he can just get out of his head, and it's almost like he has the yips a little bit, like a MLB pitcher. It's hard, when they're struggling to get out of that slump. You know, the talent's there. I feel like a lot of it is just him thinking and starting out with 2 tough road games, and then Matt Rule alluded to the fact he didn't feel he had them prepared for the crowd noise, so the silent count was an issue. I think everything on this team has improved, um, and looks better than it did over 2 weeks a year ago, and even the offense, if if you break everything down as far as, with and without, even Trey Palmer in the first 2 weeks, everything is almost identical, and everything else defensive wise and everything else has improved. Our run game has improved, and this is against much stiffer competition. Last year it was Northwestern and North Dakota, and this year it's Minnesota and Colorado. And what's your thoughts on kind of that overall?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. We'll start with what you was talking about with the quarterback situation. Yeah, so with that being said, the way I looked at the game, I thought their first drive was what type of offense they need to be.
Mhm.
And I might catch some flack for this, but I disagree with a lot of people when they say we had to run the ball and we had to do this. That's my personal opinion. I do not think we have that identity. I don't think
Right.
we have that honestly personnel to do that.
And to clarify,
Uh,
that was, my take last week, not yours, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. So with that being said, we saw how Jeff was able to get something going in the passing game the first drive. He they ran a on 3rd and 6. They ran a simple drive press concept, hit Nate Borchard, little 15-yard or 12-yard dig across the middle. Got his confidence going. Then I think they went inside zone, and then next they hit Billy on a little stick route. Billy made 3 guys miss. Got a little 20-yard completion, and then on the fumble on 3rd and 10, when he fumbled it, they were actually going back to that same drive concept. Colorado brought a little pressure, so I think that probably wouldn't have been the best play call right there, because there's not really a real hot read on that. The only hot read is the actual shower route, and yeah, that's a bunch of football talk. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think doing that type of stuff is crazy. I literally said in the preview of the Nebraska Colorado game, I said get them going with a stick concept, get them going with a hitch, get them going with some small things. And it will make things easier for him. And what they do first drive, they got into some things, right? And I feel like they are trying to be the Nebraska of old. And I understand that. I understand the people want to see the fullback formation. The people want to see the heavy personnel. The people want to see the 13 personnel. But I think there's a time and a place for it. I think there's times where we should spread our receivers and go 2 by 2 or 3 by 1 or stacks on the outside and run inside zone and be gritty that way. We don't always have to be gritty running it out of a jumbo personnel and having these ISO formations and all this certain stuff, right? So that's my personal opinion. Yeah, but if you flash back to last year, I think the offense was the scheme of the offense was completely different. There's just
Right.
two different schemes, right?
Mhm.
So last year we were very pro style, but we had a lot of passing concepts, a lot. Whipple let to throw the ball. And what do we do in the run game? When we ran inside outside zone. Usually we was in 12 personnel, 11 personnel. Simple things, not anything too crazy. Now we're running a lot of things out of 13 personnel. Got larger guys on the field, going jumbo sometimes, bringing a fullback in. I know we did that a few times last year, but the identity of the offense is, I feel like last year we were a big shot team, didn't really have an intermediate game or short game, and we were inside outside zone team.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we were. Now moving forward this year, I don't know what we are.
Right.
I don't really exactly know what we are. I don't know if that's because we're always playing from behind and we have to do certain stuff. But even then, I would think that there would be a simpler pass concept installed. Going into certain situations, but I just think it's interesting how they're calling these games. I'm not going to say that it's bad, good, or indifferent. I just think it's interesting. I think these next two games is key for. I really hope his ankle's good. I'll be praying for him, making sure everything's good there. But I really think it's interesting to see how they're going to call these next two games, because we should be ahead going into these games. We shouldn't be playing from behind in these games. We should be ahead. I think our defense is going to dominate. So we're going to see what type of identity the offense is going to be. If we're going to come out in heavy personnel against NIU, then that's who we are. But if we're going to get around and throw the ball 25, 30 times, then that's who we are as well. And I think being who you are makes it easier on the offense, and also takes pressure off, because all of a sudden we play a high-powered offense, and now we have to slow the ball down. But we're going to do it pertaining to our identity. So we're not going to switch up the playbook or switch up the scheme. So I felt like these first 2 weeks, it was like, Minnesota was a little different, but this Colorado week, it was like, we got to slow the ball down. We got to do this. But is that who we want to be?
Right.
Is that who we want to be? And I get to pound the rock. I love that. But I'm just curious to see.
Yeah, it's almost like we're still trying to figure out. It's like the coaching staff still trying to figure out what's the best route situationally for this offense. I did see before we hopped on, a little bit before we hopped on, they said that Sims, of course, didn't practice yesterday, but that he might practice tonight, but it didn't sound like it was likely. Um, from your expertise, let's say these next two games, let's say Sims, because ankles are really, really complicated to recover. Um, if you re-aggravate them, they can really cause you issues for a long time. I had a grade 2 ligament tear a year and a half, and I still deal with it a year and a half ago. What is your take on, if let's say he's out for 2 weeks, Heinrich Haarberg comes in and plays well the next 2 weeks? Is that a situation where you ride that hot hand? Or do you put a situation where, versus Michigan, you try to put Sims back in there and see what's your take on that? And is that something we should be focused on or worried about going forward?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. I just think of, you look at these next two games, and you definitely want Jeff to play. You don't want to switch quarterbacks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you don't.
Mhm.
No matter if Heinrich is ready, or if Chuba is ready, or anything. Not no discredit to them. They are great football players. I've seen it firsthand. But you just don't want to do that for multiple reasons. Let's say you go and put in a quarterback. I'm not going to put no name to it, but let's say you put in a quarterback and he doesn't perform too well this next week, and then you try to put in the next quarterback, or do you stick it out, and then you kind of are out of options going into Michigan week, right? Then again, there's another reason why you don't do that. You also get the quarterback's confidence going. These next 2 weeks, they should be. I'm not gonna say we don't take no opponent lightly,
Mhm.
but if I was a betting man, I would say we would win these next two games, right?
Yep.
So that being said, that's a confidence builder going into Michigan week, and you don't want the dynamic of the team to switch. You want same leadership. You want guys to figure it out. You don't want a change at the most crucial position on the football field.
Yeah. You need continuity, especially on the offensive side of the ball with the quarterback. Yeah, and that was my takeaway too. It's these 2 weeks these are what we need, honestly, to kind of get the offense into a flow and, yeah, like you said, establish a rhythm because Northern Illinois struggled. I think they lost against, I don't even know if it was a Division One school, but in their quarterback, Rocky Lombardi, we faced him in 2018 when he was at Michigan State, actually. So he's in his like sixth year or something like that. So their offense hasn't been very good. And so, I mean, we should be able to get right in that game. But just going to the overarching first couple weeks, my take on everything is Matt Rule's got the long picture in his head, and that hasn't changed for him. It's the fan base, I believe, has gotten caught up in, wanting to win now because we're excited on Saturdays for the games and stuff like that. So my question for you then becomes, because I'm looking at it this way, we're improving in basically every aspect, except the difference we have 8 turnovers this year through 2 weeks versus 2 last year. So that is clearly the problem. So with that being said, how do you measure success and how much do wins matter on the improvement? Because again, for me, it's play and stuff like that on the field. Eventually the wins have to come, but if the team is improving week in and week out, is that success for you? And then, what is a reasonable amount of wins, as long as you see that improvement? Or do wins even really matter at the end of the day as long as they're slowly improving?
I think from a player's perspective, you kind of look and you see, okay, we start off 0-2. So what can we do?
Mhm.
Everything we still want is still at board. I think it turns into a thing where if you're constantly practicing the way you should be, if you're constantly approaching film, approaching meetings the way you should be, good things are going to end up happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's the motto of Nebraska. I think it's a day by day situation.
Mhm.
I think the players should start to embrace who as a defense. Let me say this: the defense should start embracing that they are dominant. And not take a step back and not take things lightly, but understand like we're a good defense. So what do we need to do? We need to encourage the offense
Mhm.
and get them going and make sure they feel like there's no added pressure. I know there are certain times where I played on teams where maybe the offense was the heavy hitters and the defense was struggling, or the defense was good and the offense was struggling, and there can be some type of clashes there. So I think just being level headed on both sides of the ball, but the side that's doing better, I would say just give them more encouragement to the other side. That's really something that helps bring teams together and help you produce wins. So as far as that, I don't know. I couldn't even put a number on the wins.
Mhm.
I couldn't put a number on how well they're going to do. It's really uh, can the defense sustain who they are?
Mhm.
Are they really who they are? Right?
Mhm.
Are
Yeah.
they really this top, number one pass defense? Top
Number
15
one
run
sack.
defense? Yeah, right. So are we really that?
Yep.
And I would say I would kind of give a budge at that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a
Yep.
leader, if I'm a coach on the team, like, look, like, is we really like this, or is we just we was just entertaining for the first 2 weeks. But I personally think they like that. And then as the offense goes, uh, one second, real quick.
Yeah, no worries. All right, and we're back. Sorry, we had a quick hiatus there. So, but yeah, just to get back in just a little bit of the first 2 weeks. One more question I had on, just the one thing that I feel like the wins and loss matters the most about, as a player in the recruiting process. When you have a team that's in a slow rebuild like this, is that something that you take into account and when they play, and are recruiting you and have a bad performance, does that negatively affect you too much as a player going into it, or does the coaching staff usually do a good job of kind of telling you what to expect and kind of what their plan is?
Well, the game changed with NIL. I'll tell you that
Mhm.
first and foremost.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not really sure how guys is looking at it nowadays. I think some guys is young and it's money first. I think
Yeah.
some guys is uh, where can I go to the league from?
Mhm.
And then there's guys where they just want to win, and some guys want to go, where they fans of. So I think getting a guy that doesn't really care about the money. I think once the one thing you kind of sell is, look, Matt Rule used to coach for the Panthers.
Mhm.
So he got that direct connection to the NFL, and that sparks guys' eyes up, and to see all the NFL guys uh, on the staff,
Mhm.
or more so, I would say Coach Knighton, for sure.
Yep.
That's a big grab right there. So I think that's what I would be thinking as a recruit. I would definitely like to see uh, the path to the next level. Obviously, throwing the NIL aspect, Nebraska does a good job of that. They're doing a way better job of that. Let me say that.
Mhm.
Now that Coach Rule is there, they're spreading the wealth around, and they're actually handling things from I would say a better way of doing it. And then, but yeah, I think as a player, yeah, they do look at wins and losses. I'm not going to lie to you and say they wouldn't. But also, uh, different things are different. Are different things are important to different people. So
Right. Yeah. And that's something I didn't even factor in is NIL and how much of a difference that's made. Cause like you said, there are and a lot of guys have family influence, their family is, in a lot of ways advising them where they should go because they want them to go to a place that's gonna turn them into the best person and the best, high character individual. And then there's the kids that want the money, and I don't necessarily blame them. I'm all in favor of name, image, likeness, because it should have been happening a long time ago. But that is something that affects recruiting. But that's also something that Nebraska does well. Nebraska does one thing well. They have money and a brand, so money's always going to be there. So that aspect of recruiting will always be there. But I think rules recruiting style too is, and I think it's kind of been that way. I mean, we do have a lot of we've recruited a lot of high character guys, and I think rules just really trying to just really stick to that and get his type of guy in there. And I think that's very important too. Is just getting the people that he wants in there, or not necessarily wants in there, but the type of people he's gonna go after. I don't know if necessarily the type of guys he wants to go after are gonna be too worried about the financial parts of it. So that's something that I've always wondered too, is the coach's vision, kind of differentiate that, but that's hard for you to know without going through the NIL process because it's a whole new world out there completely. Um,
yeah,
and just to that point, Brandon Baker is going to be there this weekend. 5-star offensive lineman. That would be a huge get for the team. So, and he extended his recruitment just so he could do the Nebraska visit. So that's something to keep in mind coming up there too. Um, but going into the Northern Illinois game, we discussed just briefly on that, but over these next 2 weeks, because I agree with you, Northern Illinois 10-point spread. I agree it should be bigger than that. I think we'll win by 2 scores plus. Um, I understand why Vegas odds are the way they are though, but I am of the belief that I still think Nebraska overall um, is the better team. Over the last 2 weeks than their opponent, and they've shown just the turnovers have been the issue. Going into Northern Illinois and just as a former player again, just with the fumbling and the turnovers, how much confidence does that even help if you can get through, a couple games and not fumble the ball, not make those mistakes? Is that more of a mental thing, or is that something that just needs to kind of be coached and worked out of them because, Sims, for what it's worth, like, I don't know if necessarily fumbling's been an issue his entire career, so it could very well be something mental. But yeah, in regards to that, is the confidence and also the turnovers and stuff like that, does that matter and going forward, or is that still just something he's working on in practice?
Um, I will tell you I can say confidently that is I would say a 99% mental thing. Quarterbacks and centers, we call it QC exchange. So they do QC exchange at the beginning of practice every day, no matter if there's a walkthrough, no matter if it's whatever. They are doing that consistently, and then they switch into handoffs with the running backs. Again, the running backs tracks down for whatever runs they have in anything different, any type of you know. Uh, different type of track for the running back. Maybe that was a specific counter, or they run, somehow the dot. So those things are being coached. So I would not say it's a physical thing. I would say it's just mental. And I think just getting his confidence back, and yeah, only he can say what's the real reason why this is
Mhm.
happening between the ears. So I would just say, as a coach or as a player, or as the support staff, I would just say keep encouraging, keep telling him, and like you're built for this. There's no moment too big. Because I think Jeff still his best football is ahead of him. I think if I'm in the locker room, or if I'm close to him, if I'm on that team, I would just have a heart to heart moment and just be like, bro, you probably played the worst football you're going to play this year. So that we
Mhm.
already got that out of the way. We already
Yeah.
got that out of the way. Can't do nothing about it. We're going to stay in the present, never dwell on the past, not even looking towards the future. We're going to stay in the present. And that being said, now it's time to go out and show people who you are, and not to prove anyone wrong or
Mhm.
anyone right. It's really just to do what you're called to do,
Mhm.
and to lead the team. So I would just say that there's no, it's not that Jeff's a bad quarterback. It's not
Yeah.
that Jeff is the lights are too bright. I think it's just settling in.
Mhm.
Maybe it's something simple as uh, being in a new program, and just a new scenery can do it for some people. I know when I first got there, there were certain adjustments. Nebraska is not. People have to understand. It is not normal to have 90,000 people at a football game,
Right.
or a fan base of well over 200,000
Mhm.
that are constantly on you, constantly watching games. That is not something that's normal. Not even at a school like a Minnesota, or even like a Illinois, or Iowa State, or in some situations Iowa. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So Nebraska's fan base is enormous, and
Mhm.
that can add pressure. So I think just blocking everything out. I don't care if you gotta delete Twitter, delete social media. I would delete everything. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even. Hey, if I had a girlfriend, I'm not texting her this week. I gotta lock in. I gotta stay poised, and show people who I am.
Mhm.
And I think that's the message this week is just lock in, be who you are at the end of the day. Because as the offense, we haven't been being who we are. We aren't
Mhm.
that. We aren't
Yeah.
that. The world's gonna say, oh, we this, we that. We aren't that. So I think it's time to show people who we are, and show the playmakers that we have.
Yeah, and the reason I mentioned Jeff Sims' turnovers is to defend him, in a lot of ways because, you know, there's also some things that have happened that have kept him from getting in rhythm. We've had a couple drops, in the Colorado game and stuff like that. But, my thing on that is, Husker fans are reacting like, it's a lack of ability by Sims, and I don't believe that, and that's why I was wondering, how much is of it's mental, because if it's mental, that's something that can get right. That's something that can get right probably quicker than anything. And without those turnovers, Sims hasn't had a opportunity to get into rhythm. So I don't think we've seen what he's capable of at all as a passer, just because those things have kept us from getting in that rhythm. And so, what's your, is that kind of your overall take, and how you get to the point where you're like, you also believe that Sims' best days are ahead of him. And I do too, because when Matt Rule brought him in, he brought him in to coach him up, and they still haven't had a ton of time together. Matt Rule's still fresh, Jeff Sims still fresh. So, you look at Anthony Richardson of Florida last year, like he got better as the season went on. His passing numbers improved as the season went on. I see Sims as a very, similar type of guy who needs to refine his passing. And I think Sims is going to get better as the year goes on. I just think it's been a little bit more delayed because of the fumbles and the first game, the interceptions, but he didn't throw any as many interceptions game two. And so I feel like overall, like he's learning from at least that part of it shows me I think he's learning from it. But also, that's probably been his focus, is just on that so much that's probably why he's overthinking it. And then you have issues where, the snap gets hit by the motion man and stuff like that. And I feel like he's taken a lot of the heat for it, but I just think that Husker fans are reacting like he can't be coached up to a level that will put us at a winning level. And I believe he has the highest upside of any of our quarterbacks. Is that kind of how you got to your overall take on it? And do you agree with that in a way, kind of that really that's something that can get right quicker than anything?
Yeah, I think it's just like I think it's just like a batter. You got a guy who regularly hits 280, 270, and then all of a sudden he's two for 30 on his last ABs. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same concept. You got a shooter who you got Kyle Korver, a 3-point shooter who missed. He's 0 for 15 of his last 3-point attempts.
Mhm.
Same thing in football. Let's say a dude is struggling, or the dude dropping passes, or a dude is just not playing up to his standard.
Yep.
I think there's all of a sudden there's a switch in the mindset. There's a switch in perspective. There's a switch in something between the ears that changes everything. And all of a sudden everyone's like, dang, such and such came out to play. Well, such and such has been that good the whole time. There was
Yep.
just something that was disabling him from performing at that level. So I think we're gonna see his best football here soon. I hope his ankle feel good. I hope everything feels good from that standpoint. I think we're going to see what his arm is capable of. I think we're going to see him break a lot of big runs and command a game. I think that's one thing we're going to see, his command in a game. I've heard nothing but great things about his leadership. I heard nothing but great things about the person he is. So we just have to have everything mesh and come together.
Yeah.
So that's what I feel. And then also, it takes a man, and it takes a special individual to go and have a performance that wasn't up to par to your own standards, and sit before the media and say that's my bad, 100%, and to say I'm gonna do better and it's on me and I hurt the team, and I'm gonna continue to get better day by day, and the things that's on the field isn't me. So I think as a Nebraska fan, I think you should commend that at the end of the day. I understand, the fans want to see someone go out there and throw for 12 touchdowns and throw for 1,000 yards, in 2 games. But it is what it is at the end of the day. I think it's funny, we all got certain people have jobs out there, regular jobs.
Mhm.
His job is the Nebraska football players, their job is to play football.
Yeah.
So if you was to mess up at your job at Walmart, you just mess up at your job, and maybe your boss get on you and you
Yep.
move on with the day. But you don't, if you mess up at your job at Walmart, you don't have 100,000 people on you saying that you should lose your job, you should be fired, you should be replaced. So we have to put in perspective that this is also something that he's working very hard at. This
Yeah.
isn't something that he's just sitting back and rolling up the dice and say, if I roll good, I roll good. This is something he's taking time at. He's putting effort in. So that being said, I think we're gonna see his best football.
Yeah. And I think the best way to wrap it up with the quarterback stuff is your analogy point, right? When Kyle Korver, Steph Curry, those snipers, when they get in those slumps, what do they tell them? Keep shooting, right? When your best hitter in the lineup is slumping, you don't remove him from the lineup. He hits his way back into that. And Sims is going to be no different. It's just going to be him playing back into a rhythm. And, it's a new team, new coach, new offense, new everything. And I think as soon as he finds that rhythm, he's going to get in the groove, and we're going to see what Rule, told us what we're going to see. And so, that should be exciting. I think I'm very optimistic over the last 2 weeks, and I think Husker fans should be going forward too, because I tweeted this earlier, but when Matt Rule came over, and I committed to, okay, cool, I'm putting my trust in this guy. I listened to what he said, and I'm going to reevaluate in 2 to 3 years. I'm not going to sit here in week 2 and reevaluate the team, the coaching staff, the quarterback, and all of that stuff. All of that needs time. Even the quarterback position, all of that was supposed to be a process. Um, but yeah, that's just kind of my take on it is we gotta be more patient, and people have been burned by being patient in the past, but this is a completely new situation, new staff, and compare it to week 2 under Frost. People were very patient then. I think we owe that same thing to Rule and the players now, especially because I don't think people understand how hard it is for a player to have a complete change like that. It's extremely difficult, and especially going from a university like Georgia Tech to Nebraska. That's a same position and everything, but it's just more pressure and the other in Nebraska than it is there. So I think it's a great way to round out the QB conversation. So
Yeah.
um, the last thing we can touch on is just anything else you want to, as far as going into Northern Illinois, or anything else you wanted to touch on that we haven't yet as far as the team goes. Northern Illinois, played okay defense, solid defense. Their offense has been terrible. Not a ton, I don't think, to break down there. But if you've had any chance to think about it, what are your thoughts on that? And just like I said, anything else over the last couple weeks, or any notes that you've seen based off of what fans are discussing and things like that that you know might clarify or help them have a little bit of exercise a little bit more patience and caution.
Yeah, I think this is a big game. You think of last year. We didn't have the luxury of whooping someone,
Hmm.
and how good that feels. We haven't done that in a long time. I think the last real time we beat someone was probably the Northwestern game 2 years ago.
Hmm.
I would say that was probably the last time where we really dominated a team. And then, like, even before that, it was the Fordham game. So I would say really being able to dominate an opponent and to see the fullness of your football team. And to see the depth in your football team, it's so I can't even harp on how valuable it is for you to get your starters out the game by the third quarter and let or going in halfway through the fourth quarter and let guys get in the game.
Hmm.
Let your young freshmen or your second depth guys get in the game and get some confidence, because I guarantee there's going to be a point in the year where those guys who are playing late in the game are going to play a bigger role either on special teams or on the actual offense or defensive side of the ball later in the season. So I would say just making sure the preparation for this week does not fall off. If anything, it goes up. I think the preparation should go up this week. I think the details should be ironed out to the fullest. I don't getting down to the steps, getting down to foot placement, to hand placement, to if we run a play wrong, run it again. If someone blinks while we are calling a play and it looks like a false start, we're calling it again. So making sure things are perfected, sure things are down to a T. I think that's how you bounce back from situations. That's how I like to say it. We shake back. That's how you shake back from going 0-2. You iron things out. We're real close, right?
Mhm.
And like I said, I think those younger guys, those guys a little lower on the depth chart, getting them in the game, letting them understand the defense, understanding what live bullets feel like and look like, and getting some stuff on tape, and letting the defense just go wild, and letting the offense throw the ball and run the ball and do what they want to do. Whatever the game plan is, execute it. So I think that's a key thing. Getting some things going on special teams. I think special teams has been solid so far. And yeah, so I think this is a huge week. Should not be downplayed by no means. I think
Mhm.
going into football weeks, the game you're about to play is most important. So this is the most important game of the year. It's
Yep.
not Michigan. It's not Michigan State. It's not Iowa at the end of the year. It's this game right here.
Yeah. Yeah, and, the way I kinda saw it is I don't think we've earned the right to take teams lightly yet, and even when you do, right, you still shouldn't take them lightly or take them lightly, sorry, but, you know, I just don't think that, like you said, it's been so long since we've actually, like, beaten a team that we can kinda sit here and I do think that we're gonna win by multiple scores just based on what I've seen from the team, but, there's still a little bit of that in the back of my mind that we haven't done that in a lot of cases where we expected them to, but, so I'm with you, just, exercise patience of these 2 weeks are still very important, and 2, I don't know if you have anything on this, but, 2 tough opening games like that, I think are very good for a team going forward the rest of the season. I think those are very good games to really kind of show, weaknesses on film and stuff like that, as opposed to coming out and really beating up on the team. So that way you can learn some stuff. Is there anything to that, or um, does that
Yeah,
matter?
yeah, for sure. I think that's a great point. You go 0-2 against a Minnesota team with a great defense. I think their offense is going to be underrated this year. I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that's not a very good Minnesota team." I think they're actually a decent team and going to be a decent team in the Big Ten this year.
Yep.
And then also going into Colorado, I think Shador is probably a top 3 quarterback in the in college football right now.
Mhm.
I was a little harsh on him week 1, but to see him in person and see the reads he makes, to see the poise, the accuracy, I think he's a legit quarterback.
Yep.
I think the caliber of quarterback the last time I seen a quarterback like that was like when we went to play Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma. Like that
Mhm.
level of quarterback, that level of pocket passer presence. So that's a great opponent. In Colorado, had some key weapons. Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver. You got Travis Hunter, Dylan Edwards. So it was a stacked offensive team. Great weapons. So then you shift to you're playing Northern Illinois. No disrespect to them, but I don't think they have the same weapons as we've seen before. Um, Even on Minnesota and even on Colorado. So I think even if you can't play at the same level as Colorado,
Mhm.
offensive wise, turn the ball over, of course. But if we when you play teams like that, and then you play kind of I would say a lesser opponent, um, it tends to show you where you're at as a team.
Mhm.
Um, if you can sharpen the things up, I think if you sharpen the things up on offense and you stay consistent and finish games as a defense, you could beat this team by 65. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
so like that's the level that we're playing at on the defense side of the ball, and we just need to match that on the offense side of the ball, and that's no secret. The guys in the locker room know that, and I think that's one big thing. Is just coming out firing on offense, not being scared, not being timid, knowing that we prepare good throughout the week, and just letting everything hang out there.
Yeah. And yeah, it's good to just get those, as a player, this, but it's good to get those things on film. Those mistakes being on film are really how you learn the most. It's kind of like in boxing, you learn the most from a fight. It's the same thing there. You really, because there, you have the adrenaline, you have the crowds there. So you really understand kind of what you're doing out there, and you can look back and see the mistakes you're making. And to your point, Minnesota's a very good team. They were a 9-win team last year. PJ Fleck said this is the most athletic team he's had. Their defense was top 5 in most categories, top 15 in nearly every. And I had them as a dark horse Big Ten West winner this year, but they just have a very tough schedule. So, yeah, Minnesota's an extremely good team with an extremely good defense, and offense is that offense has always been solid. I mean, they're under PJ Fleck, they have not been kind of like Iowa, where Iowa is just abysmal on offense. You know, they had Ibrahim last year and the last few years, super talented. Kalikamakis did some things well in that game, and I believe Ottman Bell's still there. So, yeah, very good team, and we definitely learned a lot from these first 2 weeks. But I think my thing on it is I really believe if we were 2-0 but had these same exact 2 performances, but the scoreboard was just a little different, I think Nebraska fans would be kind of speaking a little bit differently or feeling a lot different about it. I think right now it's just too much focus on the wins and losses and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Rocky Lombardi, the quarterback for Northern Illinois, I think he's thrown 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions on the year. So yeah, it's one of those things that our defense should be able to feast on that, get a lot of confidence too, more confidence for them moving forward, and get right game. That's why I hope Jeff Sims is good to go, because it's a get right game for him. And these next 2 weeks are imperative, like you said. So, to that point, is there anything else you would like to say about anything in regards to that, or just in general to the fans?
Yeah, I would just say, just settle in. Nothing was promised at the beginning of the year, but also, it's understandable what you guys are feeling. But at the end of the day, I know these boys is working hard, and the outcomes they want is on the way. They
Yeah,
haven't been getting them yet, but it's on the way, and I know the coaching staff going to get them prepared for this week. And yeah, I think this will be a good showcase. I think it will be a lot of fun. In Nebraska, it'll be the first game, and I think it's a night game. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be fun. And also, just getting in the environment at home, getting some juice going. A win at home in Nebraska is like no other. I'll
yep,
tell you firsthand. It's an electric feeling. The fans show out every single time. So make sure you guys are loud. Not on offense. Make sure y'all loud on defense. And yeah, it should be a good time.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm rolling out to the Michigan game too. So Husker fans, if y'all are out there, I will be out there. So, well, I mean, none of you are going to be out there, but anybody listening to this is out there. I will be out there for the Michigan game. Hopefully a win. That would be what we need right there to just completely flip the script on everybody. So, but yeah, so thanks again, Chancellor, for coming on here. Leave your comments, and like and subscribe to his channel and his latest videos, and go watch his videos. A lot of good stuff on there. Even the older stuff, you can still learn a lot from a lot of what he's posting on there. And like he said in the past, it's not going to be all football. There's going to be a lot for everybody to like on there. So support him. Subscribe on D&D on YouTube, and then Chancellor Brew on X, and get him to 2K. I feel like that's very doable. And let's say probably by the end of this month. Let's say you'll be at 2. Let's be conservative and say by the end of this month 2K. But let's try to get them there quicker than that, everybody. So yeah, Chancellor, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate you. And yeah, I'll let you say the last final words here.
Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you follow my boy Justin, like, subscribe, comment to this video, and then head over to D&D. Do the same. And yeah, I'll be at the game this weekend. If you see me, make sure you say what's up. I promise I'm a nice guy. I might have a as the females say, RBF face or whatever. But yeah, say what's up to me. And we'll try to get you in the YouTube video. I appreciate you for tuning in.
Yep. And if y'all like the content, y'all want to see more of Chancellor, support him. support the channel here, so that way we know you like the content. So, but yeah, thanks again, Chancellor, and we'll see everybody in the next video. So peace.